Once upon a time, in the heart of the vast African savanna, there lived a mighty lion named Simba. Simba was known throughout the land as the strongest and most fearsome animal. His roar could shake the tallest trees, and his powerful claws could tear through anything. All the animals, from the smallest antelope to the grandest elephant, trembled at his presence. Simba believed that his strength was all that mattered, and no one dared to challenge him. He ruled the savanna with an iron paw. But there was one creature who wasn't afraid. A clever, quick-witted hare named Kofi, who lived on the edge of the great savanna, was known for his sharp mind and even sharper tongue. He was small and quick, and his brain was his greatest asset. Kofi loved to wander the savanna, chatting with the animals and observing everything that went on. One hot afternoon, as Simba lay lazily beneath a tree, feeling proud of his reign, he had an idea. With a loud roar, he called for all the animals to gather. "Simba," roaring, "come forth, all creatures of the savanna. I am your king, and I demand that every animal bring me a tribute. Bring me food, water, and offerings, or face the consequences. I am the strongest of all." The animals were scared. They had always respected Simba's power, but they were also hungry, and the savanna had been dry for many months. They knew they could not bring him much, but they feared what would happen if they disobeyed. Kofi, the clever hare, heard Simba's call and decided that this time he would do something different. Instead of bringing Simba a tribute like the others, Kofi thought of a plan that would teach Simba that strength was not everything. That evening, Kofi hopped up to Simba's lair. He was carrying nothing but a small twig in his paws. Simba, sneering, well, if it isn't the little hare, what have you brought me? A twig? Do you think you can outsmart me with such a pitiful offering?" Kofi, calmly, "Oh, mighty Simba, I bring no food or water. But I bring something much more valuable than that. I bring you a challenge." Simba raised an eyebrow. He had never been challenged by such a small creature before. "Simba, a challenge? What foolishness is this? I am the king. No one can defeat me, not even the strongest warrior. What could a small hare like you offer me?" Kofi, smiling, "I propose a race. A race to the great baobab tree at the edge of the savanna. Whoever reaches the tree first wins. If I win, you must promise to never demand tribute from the animals again." Simba laughed so loudly that it echoed through the savanna. "Simba, a race? You, a tiny hare, think you can outrun me, the mighty lion? Very well. I accept your challenge, but be prepared to lose." The next morning, all the animals gathered to watch the race. They stood in a great circle around Simba and Kofi, whispering to each other in excitement. Simba was huge and strong, while Kofi was small and nimble. The race would be a spectacle. Kofi, grinning, "Are you ready, Simba?" Simba, smiling arrogantly, "I was born ready. Prepare to lose." Narrator. And so, with a loud roar, Simba charged forward, his mighty legs pounding the ground. He raced across the savanna with all his might, confident that no one could beat him. Kofi, however, didn't run as fast. Instead, he hopped along at a steady pace, staying calm and watching Simba ahead of him. Simba was already so far ahead that Kofi could barely see him. The lion, filled with pride and overconfidence, didn't even look back. As the day wore on, Simba grew tired. His powerful legs, which had carried him so swiftly at first, began to feel heavy. The sun was hot, and his body, though strong, was not used to such speed. Simba stopped to rest under a shady tree, convinced that he had plenty of time to catch up to the hare. Meanwhile, Kofi continued his steady pace. He had seen Simba stop, but he didn't slow down. Kofi knew that the race was not about speed, but about persistence. By the time Simba awoke from his nap, the sun was beginning to set. He had rested for far too long, and now, with a start, he leapt to his feet and began running again. He could see the great baobab tree in the distance. But as Simba drew closer, he saw something that made his heart sink. Kofi was already sitting beneath the baobab tree, waiting for him. Simba reached the baobab tree, panting and exhausted, and stopped in front of Kofi. Kofi looked up at him with a calm smile. Kofi, it seems I have won, Simba. Simba, breathing heavily. How did you outrun me? I am stronger, faster. How could I lose to small hares? Kofi, chuckling. Simba, you relied on your strength alone, but I relied on my wisdom and patience. Strength is important, yes, but sometimes the cleverest path is the best one. You raced ahead with pride and did not think to rest or plan. I took my time, and that is how I won. Simba lowered his head in shame. He had learned a valuable lesson that day. Simba, you are wise, Kofi. I see now that strength alone is not enough. I promise, from this day forward, I will no longer demand tribute from the animals of the savannah.
Kofi. Thank you, Simba.
Remember, a wise leader listens to all, not just the roar of their own strength. From that day on, Simba and Kofi became unlikely friends. Simba still roared loudly from time to time, but he no longer ruled the savannah with fear. Instead, he listened to the animals and respected their wisdom. And Kofi, the clever hare, was respected by all, for he had shown that sometimes the smallest creatures can hold the greatest power.